the past that actually passed away from being critically ill and so on. So Peter, you can start your experience since you were first time on our call, and it's big privilege for us to learn from you as well, as your experience can tell us a lot about 20 years experience in this career. You probably had a lot of clients that you went through and had those challenges, and tell us a little bit how did you help those families and so on. Go ahead, Peter.
Wonderful. Thank you, Uliana and Parm. Thanks for having me, guys, on the call tonight. I just happen to be finishing up a meeting here, and of course, she is relentless. Uliana is an amazing leader. So proud of her, and thank you for inviting me. Well, I'll just take a couple of quick minutes. I don't want to take away from our speaker tonight. I know I'm looking forward to some powerful training for you guys. I've been in the industry 23 years last month. All of my career has been with World Financial Group. So, I was not from the financial industry, came into to this industry with this company. I'm very proud to be here. We are just a little under 7,000 licenses in our team. About 20,000 people studying to get licensed right now in our team, and over 300 offices in North America between US and Canada. So we're just getting started. I can tell you, after 20 plus years in the industry, I am super, super excited about where we're going right now and the opportunity to grow and expand. I'll tell you right now shortly that, I've dealt with many clients. I have personally only have around 40 or 50 clients left right now personally. Over the last 5 years, I have given away clients to other associates in our team just because of the amount of time that I have to work. But I'll share with you, one of the clients I'm dealing with right now at the moment, they became my client in November, October, November 2004. Somebody, I don't know, maybe Juliana, maybe you can mute. There's some conversations going on, maybe in the background, if you can mute that for us. So they became my client in September, October of 2004, 20 years ago. And their permanent insurance with one of our providers was with Ivari at that time. Both of them had 300,000 of permanent insurance, universal life actually. And I also added for them critical illness insurance from another provider, Equitable Life at that time. I wasn't actually a partner with us back in 2003. Otherwise, we would have been dealing with you guys, okay? But and I gave them, the husband had 290,000 of critical illness, and wife had 90,000 critical illness, and I put a term rider on the critical policy. So I put another 300,000 20-year term rider on that CI policy. Plus, I did a tax-free account later in 2009 when I came out, but we did their RSPs and savings, we did their mortgage. So they were all the products and services that we had. They were utilizing. So I fast forward now 2012, right? So that would have been what 8 years later. The husband, I think he was 50 some years, 51 years old, something like that. I can't recall now the age. He had prostate cancer, but he showed up in my office asking, what, I wanted to meet you. I need to lower my payments, his RSP contributions, and I need to lower his TFSA and the payments to his universal life. He's like, I need to stop my payments for a while or lower them because, I said, what happened? He said, well, I'm taking a sick leave from work. I'm not doing well. So of course I asked him, well, what happened? Why are you sick? He said, well, I got cancer about 5-6 weeks ago. And I said right there, hang on a second. Let me go to my office. I went to office, checked out his file just to make sure, because almost 100%, well, definitely 100% clients I talk to, I always recommend critical illness. Unless they don't qualify, even they have a small policy, 25,000, I make sure everybody has some coverage. And when I look in that file and he has 290,000 of CI, most of you probably never sold more than 150. And these aren't wealthy people, okay? I came back and I was like tingling all over myself. Like I was, I sat him down. I said, listen, I just want to let you know, I'm not an underwriter, but I will tell you that you have a coverage that it sounds to me like you may qualify for a benefit of 290,000. He started crying literally right there. Like knows, and I like totally, he says, you don't understand how much financial stress we're under right now, and that I'm not working, I'm on disability and all this stuff. And anyway, so about 4 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks later, we received a check for $290,000 for him. That changed his life. They sold their house in White Rock. He took the early retirement and pension, and he moved to Gibson on the island, Gibson Island. You guys know, on the seashell over here. That was 2012. And then Christmas Eve, just December 24th, just a month and a half ago, I got a phone call from his son. He said, and he's also a client. I know him quite well. He lives in North Vancouver. And he said, hey, how are you? I just want to let you know, Dad's not well. They've given him 48 hours. And he wanted me to call you just to make sure all the policies are in place and everything. I said, yeah, everything is good. I checked online. And he said, just wanted to say thank you and just want to make sure everything is in order. I said, of course, if there's anything I can do, let me know. He then called me on the 3rd of January after New Year's and just to tell me, yeah, Dad passed away on Boxing Day, which is my birthday, and what do we need to do next? So when in 2012, when he had the critical illness, he had a $300,000 term rider on the policy, right? We converted that term into a permanent policy because we knew he would be uninsurable. So we are now in the process of collecting $600,000 death benefit. Actually, I have a check for $300,000 sitting in my mailbox in the office right now. I haven't even got a chance to open it yet. I have it with me. I may even show it to you guys by the end of the program tonight. So, Equitable's already approved the 300,000. I imagine any day we'll get another 300,000 from Irari. So, everything, he's 65 years old. He's not that old. But everything we put in place for this family was for a purpose. We didn't know this was going to happen this soon. We knew it would happen someday. We all, are going to go on this long vacation sometime in the future, and we're not going to come back. But so it's very powerful when we're able to do things like this for families, and we're the ones here left over. When someone passes away, everybody else is coming to collect money because the bills still have to get paid. Now his pension, because he was a teacher and he got a pension, the pension has, as soon as they notified them that he passed away, the pension has stopped. It will continue to her, but there's a lot of paperwork that has to be done. So her income has stopped. And she's, we're taking money out of her tax-free and her RSP to give her cash because she's got bills to pay and, stress and everything else. And I said, listen, don't worry. I said, whatever you need to take out of the investments, you take out. We'll replace that once the claim check comes. And just on that $600,000 that she's going to receive right now, we're going to provide her around 7 or 8% of that income. So let's say around $40,000 to $50,000 a year, tax-free income for the next 20 years. That's a whole other strategy. Okay, and the kids are protected, and his grandson has a policy. So we have done our job, what we're supposed to do for these families. We are what we call holistic financial planning. And so one of the elements that I'm looking forward to hearing from Katrina, I think is going to be sharing with us tonight. I have 2 clients just in the last 7 days, both of which have suffered disability, serious accidents, and had no disability coverage. One of them been working with installing commercial ovens for the last 30 years for a big company. And I went to just see them to do an annual review from last year. And just happened to be in July of last year, he got trapped behind a huge, massive commercial oven. It crushed him and crushed 2 of his vertebrae in his middle of his back. He collapsed, and had he moved the wrong way, he would have been permanently disabled, like paralyzed, if not dead. So when I found this out, and I went to their home a few days ago, I think it was like Monday last week, actually, it was a week yesterday. I said, well, geez, at least you're going to be getting some WCB. He says, well, yes and no. I said, what? He said, well, I was working, but I was helping out a friend. I wasn't actually on the job. so he has no disability coverage. He went to go apply for EI disability. I don't understand the details. He told me that something about he was missing 2 weeks or something. I don't know what that means. So he was denied by EI disability as well. So his income has gone down 60, 70%. He has by the way, they never bought life insurance. I went to them 3 times in the last 16 years. All 3 times they refused to buy life insurance. His wife was bucked off a horse because she rides horses in June of last year, 12 feet in the air, and luckily survived. And 4 months ago, she got into a car accident, her fault, so she cannot make a claim, right off the car. And they have no life insurance, no critical or disability. So imagine that. On the only good news in that situation, that on the investments, when I met them 16, 17 years ago, they had less than 10,000 in savings. Today, I don't know, around $97,000 in equity and in their investments. Almost 100 grand that I've helped them save in the last 17 years. So, you know, you got to go out and talk to people. Everybody needs what we have, but they just don't know it yet. You know, with that, Juliana, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Peter. 23 years of experience, and you've done an amazing job. You reach out to a lot of customers. Not everyone say yes, but you did your best. And that's what I want to talk about today. We should be proud of what we do, and learning from Peter, that's a privilege for us. That's why I really, really appreciate sharing your stories. And starting our call, and now we're gonna pass our training to Katrina. She's gonna talk about disability insurance, why it's important, and how we can provide income replacement benefit for clients if we know more information about it. And Katrina will help us with that. Katrina, go ahead.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Juliana. And thank you, Peter, for sharing that story, because it really just gives us perspective on what is the need for disability right now. I do see a couple names. So before we get started, my name is Katrina Apodaca. I am the insurance sales director for here at IA Financial Group. So I assist on the life insurance side and the living benefit side. So as for today's topic, we're going to take a look at our fully underwritten disability coverage. We're going to take a look at what the need is, right? How do you start the conversation with your clients? And then I'm going to show you an illustration on our platform. What is the cost to it, right? Just to put things into perspective. Why would your clients pay for a policy, and what do they get in return of it? All right. So there is going to be CE credits, but in order to get your CE credits, I notice a lot of people, you have your videos off. If you want your CE credits, you need to have your video on. Okay. That's the rule. If you want your CE credits, have your video on. Put your first name, last name, agent code, and email in the chat. I will take a screenshot of whoever's video is on at any given point. And when I look at the screen, when I look in the chat, and if your video was off during that time, guess what? No CE credit for you. So why don't you put on your videos? Because I want to see your lovely faces, and let us get started. Now, I'm sure most of you know who we are. Well, we are one of the oldest and largest insurance companies here in Canada. In fact, 1 in 4 life, critical illness, and disability insurance policies purchased in Canada is sold by IA. Everyone is probably familiar with Evo, but the platform we are on is actually our web-based platform, which is Assure and Go. So in order to log in, you need your, number one, go to your advisor center, log in, go to your My Tools, and then once you're on the My Tools tab, you click on Assure and Go. And once you're on Assure and Go, these are the products you're available to your clients. So these are separate compared to Evo. So Evo is your fully underwritten application for life insurance and critical illness. And then Assure and Go is for disability insurance, but also anything to do with simplified issue insurance. So maybe you had a client that was has maybe medical conditions, medical concerns that don't qualify for a fully underwritten life application, or maybe harder to insure. They've had cancer, maybe they had a heart attack. Well, guess what? We have products available to your clients, because here at IA, we're all about flexibility. Now, for the newcomers here, Okay, so not Peter, not Juliana, not Parm, not Harjeet, but for everyone else, I have a question for you all. My question to you all is, what is your greatest asset? Again, the question is, what is your greatest asset? So feel free to unmute yourself or feel free to type it in the chat. I do have the chat open. Otherwise, I'm going to start picking on names, everyone. Pretty, I see your beautiful face. What is your greatest asset?
Yourself.
Yourself. Exactly. You are your greatest asset, right? Usually, oftentimes when I ask that question, people will say to me, or advisors, I should say, will say to me, Katrina, my nice car. I'm like, okay, that's a good asset to have, but it's not the greatest. Health is wealth. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of others. But at the end of the day, your greatest asset is you, because you have the ability to work and earn income. And by earning income, what does that mean? You have freedom. You have the freedom to do whatever you want, right? But earning income allows you to put food on the table. It allows you to pay for your rent, pay for your mortgage, or maybe you're going to school, right? It allows you to do that. Now, as you can see, 1 in 2 Canadians live paycheck to paycheck. 1 in 2 Canadians, again, live paycheck to paycheck, which is scary. Especially now with the cost of living going up, inflation going up, life's expensive, right? And imagine if your client is living paycheck to paycheck and suddenly gets disabled. Then what? Are they going to dip into their savings? Are they going to dip into their investments? Or worse, go into debt, right? And no one wants to go into debt. But guess what? They don't have any other choice. Then what? Well, if we take a look, 1 in 3 people will have a 90-day or longer disability period at least once before the age 65. In fact, 1 in 7 Canadians are disabled at any given time. 48% of bankruptcies and mortgage foreclosures are due to a disability. When we talk about disability, no one thinks it's ever going to happen to them, right? Like Peter's clients, no one ever thought that would happen to them. I always say this thing, nothing in life is guaranteed except for one thing, which is death. We're all going to die someday, somehow, when our time comes, we're going to pass away. But what we don't plan for is getting disabled. And when we talk about disability, it doesn't mean having to be bedridden or in the hospital. A disability could something be so simple as getting to a car accident, or you're at work, equipment fell on you, or maybe you're at the gym, you pulled a muscle. But what about if you go through a life event? You get diagnosed with depression, you get diagnosed with anxiety, and now you can't work. Guess what? That's a disability. Or maybe, you get back pain, neck pain, muscle pain. Those are all considered as disability, right? And when clients stop working and earning an income, what is the number one thing they think of? They get disabled today. What are they going to look at first? Any ideas? Anna, I see. I think you were about to meet.
Yeah, I think they're gonna take a look if they can get any coverage from their workplace, either from the government.
Absolutely. No, that's correct. They're gonna look at, okay, can they get covered? Like, can they make a claim on anything? But usually the number one thing they first look at is expenses. They're gonna take a look at, what can I cut the cost on? Because now that they're not working, now that they're not earning income, well, they're gonna have to pick and choose, right? What bills are they gonna pay for? And oftentimes, the first thing that they're gonna do, like how Peter shared, they're gonna look at their life insurance. You're gonna ask, okay, can I reduce the cost on this? Or worse, cancel it, right? Cancel their policy. So meaning everything that you've done for your client to that point is gonna be fruitless. So today's conversation is looking at, okay, what is the need for disability? Why would you offer disability to your clients, even if they have maybe group coverage or WCB or EI? Now, one thing I always talk about when it comes to statistics is cancer. As you can see, cancer is the #1 cause of death in Canada. In fact, 1 in 2 Canadians will develop cancer in their lifetime. 239,100 Canadians are diagnosed with cancer back in 2023. And out of those Canadians, 86,700 Canadians died from cancer in 2023. So these statistics are from the Canadian Cancer Society. And unfortunately, they haven't updated the statistic yet for 2024. But one thing I do know is that these numbers, when it comes to cancer, go up every year. And also the number of Canadians who die from cancer go up every year, which is scary. So, question, do you think cancer is a disability? Yes? No? Okay, guess what? It is. Disability is if you cannot work and earn income due to an accident or due to an illness, you're disabled. And guess what? When you get diagnosed with cancer, more likely you're not going to be able to work and earn income. So you can make a claim. Now, what can IA offer to your clients? Well, the Superior program says, the name it says itself, right? It's superior. It's a better coverage. So if your client is healthy, they're looking for accident and illness protection, you go to the Superior program. Why? Because it's going to replace your income. So when you cannot work and earn income, IA will replace that income with a monthly benefit. So whether your client makes a claim for an accident or accident and illness, your client will get a monthly benefit. And the benefit in Superior program is up to $15,000 a month. And if your client is a business owner, so apart from their own individual disability benefit, they can get the overhead expense insurance. And that's going to pay for any business expenses, whether it's like a payroll, equipment, rent, mortgage, taxes, right? So potentially your client can get up to $30,000 a month, not only to cover their own personal monthly expenses, but also to cover their business expenses. And the coverage that we provide is 24 hours. Whether your client is at work, at home, at the gym, at the grocery store, at any hour of the day, they are protected. And you're probably wondering, who is the target market? Who can you offer disability to? It's anyone, everyone. And I truly do mean that. So I'll go into more detail in the next few slides here. But how easy is it to qualify for disability? It's super easy, super simple. #1, clients must be the ages of 18 to 59, okay? They have to be actively working at the time of application and at the time of claim. So either they're working 8 months per year or 21 hours a week. And lastly, are Canadian citizen or permanent resident. But at IA, we're all about flexibility. So if your client has been in Canada for less than 3 years and are looking to get fully underwritten disability, well, whether it's the Superior program or the universal loan, they must have a waiting period of 90 days and a benefit period of 2 years. And then once they've been in Canada for longer than 3 years, they can have those restrictions removed. So what is the whole point of disability? Well, it's to provide income replacement, right? When you cannot work. Why can you not work? It's because you got into an accident or you got into an accident or illness. So you have to have a loss of income in order to make a claim. Now, when we take a look at the benefit, that just means how long is the client going to receive their money from IA? Or another way to look at it is, how long is your client going to be off work for in order to recover, right? So they have the flexibility of choosing 2 years, 5 years, or up to age 65. And our benefits are non-taxable, okay? So they range from $500 to $15,000. And we have something called integrated benefits. So when we look at disability, okay, you can get disability coverages from group benefits. If you're working, right, you're working for a company, they're going to offer you group benefits. And then clients can apply for private and government benefits. So that's WCB and EI. And then lastly, clients can apply for their own individual disability policies with IA. So whether it's Accident, Superior program, or the universal loan, those are the different disability policies with IA. Now, why is it that we can work with anyone and everyone? So there's two things you want to write down from today's training. It's right now. So number one, disability is based on income. So the higher the income, the higher the benefit your client receives. Okay. Number two, the maximum annual income clients can receive while on claim is 65% of their total income. That is not an IA rule. That is a government rule. Why did the government put that in place? It's because the government wants you to recover and return back to work as soon as possible. Now, I don't know about you, but I need 100% of my income. I like my income, right? And if I only get 65% of my income, I want to go back to work. So here at IA, we can work with anyone and everyone. Why? It's because we have this non-integrated benefit in the Superior program. And that non-integrated benefit, the maximum is $2,000, which is going to pay on top of everything for the first 2 years of the claim. So let's say your client were to get hurt today, okay? The first thing, if they're eligible, is WCB EI group benefits. When you add all those sources up, those equal 65% of the income. That $2,000 is going to pay on top of that 65%. So it's allowing your clients to get more protection down the road. Now, how do we determine if your client is disabled? Well, easy. Go see the doctor, okay? The doctor is going to assess your client. And then when your doctor assesses the client, the doctor is going to say, okay, based on their accident or based on their illness, are they able to do the regular occupation? Which means, are they able to do their job or not? If they cannot work and earn income, they're considered totally disabled, okay? That is the easiest explanation I can give to you, okay? So the moment your client gets hurt, right, they get into an accident or go get into an illness, go see the doctor, get a doctor's note, okay? We need that doctor's note to make a claim. We're going to go into more details once we're in the illustration. Now, when it comes to the overhead expense insurance, like I said, this is a great additional coverage to have, especially for business owners. Why? Is because if a disability were to happen to the business owner, it allows them to protect their business, continue running, and allow the business to earn profit while that business owner isn't working. And they wouldn't have to worry how the bills are going to be paid. The maximum protection for the overhead expense insurance is $15,000 per month. So that is an additional benefit. Now, partial disability, this is definitely a rider we recommend. And what that means is if your client is unable to do one of their job duties or work for more than 50% of the time, they can get 50% of the benefit up to 12 months. Okay, so let's say the client goes see the doctor and the doctor says, well, you can gradually return back to work. So instead of working 8 hours of the day, you can work 4 hours of the day. Well, when they earn 4 hours of the work 4 hours of the day, they get income, half of their income, and they can still get half of their benefit up to 12 months. Seasonal or contractual workers. So these is for clients who only work, let's say 4 months per year, right? Someone maybe like a fisherman that is looking to get disability, but again, isn't working that 8 months. As long as they're working 1,050 hours per year, they can apply for coverage. Extended medical care rider further to an accident. So for $2.50 cost related to your client's accident will be covered. So for example, an ambulance ride, that is not covered by MSP, okay? An ambulance ride here in BC is $90. That's a very expensive Uber ride. Now, they haven't even made it to the hospital, and guess what? They're paying out of their own pocket. Now, maybe because of the accident, the client needed medication, right? Painkillers. Well, guess what? Group benefits don't cover 100% of medication. Well, maybe your client needed chiro, physio, naturopath, RMT. Guess what? One session here in Vancouver for RMT is $130. Who's able to afford that, right? For $2.50, that one's a no-brainer. Now, before we get into our illustration here, I want to talk about this. So, like I mentioned, disability based on two things. Number one, income. The higher the income, the higher the benefit. And number two, the maximum annual income they can receive is 65% of their total income. So oftentimes when I talk to advisors asking, do they offer disability protection to their clients? They say no, Katrina. And I'll ask why. Well, there's like, oh, my client has group benefits, or they have WCB, they have EI. And I said, okay, well, if they have group benefits, do they know what they're covered for? They'll say no. So again, disability will only give you 65% of your total income. And when it comes to group benefits, not all benefits will cover that 65%. Depending on where your client works, depending on what type of group plan they have, some group benefits I've seen will cover 50% of their income. Some will cover 40%. Some will cover 60%. Remember that statistic I told you earlier? 1 in 2 Canadians live paycheck to paycheck. Well, imagine if your client was living paycheck to paycheck and now they get disabled. They're assuming their group benefits is going to cover 100% of their income. Guess what? It's not going to happen, right? So with that being said, not only do your clients can get group benefits, number one, group benefits might only cover your client for 3 months. So it's really important that your clients know what they're not covered for so that you can offer them the difference, right? Offer them what their group benefits is not going to cover them, or offer the non-integrated benefit of $2,000, or better yet, apply for the whole amount with IA. Why? Is because I've had instances where advisors called me and said, Katrina, WCB denied the claim for my client, right? Well, guess what? Those benefits, group benefits, WCB, EI, they have their own criteria to claim, and they don't want to pay out. But IA, we want to pay out. And thank goodness those advisors applied for disability for their clients at IA, because we actually got to, number one, approve the claim, and now the client is receiving their benefits. Crazy, because guess what? If the client didn't have anything with IA, that client would get a fat 0. And no one expects that. Another thing we like to talk about is statistics, because this is important to note too. So in 2023, IA paid $825 million in claim in that 1 year alone. And that was life insurance, critical illness, and disability benefits. Now, if we dive into it further, $47 million were paid out in critical illness claims. So we received about 1,000 applications or 1,000 policies for a claim. 73% of those claims were approved, right? So we paid out the benefit to the client. But 27% of those claims were denied. Why? Because either the definition wasn't covered, the disease was not covered. But guess what? If your client had disability with IA, under illness, they could still make a claim, right? And they would still receive some type of benefit. Or better yet, if your client has both critical illness and disability insurance, so if it's an illness covered in disability and critical illness, guess what? They would still get both benefits from IA, right? A lump sum payment from their CI, and then a monthly benefit to cover their bills. Any questions so far? No questions?
Doing great, Katrina. Thank you.
Okay, Parm, thank you so much. Okay, so let's get into our illustration. I won't go into like the nitty gritty details. I just want to open your eyes to showing you, okay, what is the cost when it comes to disability? Because there is a misconception that disability is expensive. But at the end of the day, it comes down to it. What are you protecting? What does that cost represent? Right? And number two, what is the flexibility, or what can your client claim on? And you'd be surprised what are the things a client can claim on. So let's jump right into our illustration. Oh, someone.
It's Peter. Yeah, it's Peter here. I have a question on your product, because I'm new here. I want to learn this. Do you does your program cover own occupation?
No, unfortunately, no, Peter. So that's the one difference we have. So unlike, you know how RBC had own occupation is targeted to the higher professionals, right? Dentists, lawyers, architects, professors, because they spend a long period of time in school, right? They don't just want to be sitting around, right? So let's say you're a doctor, you couldn't do your job, and now maybe you could be a professor to be a doctor, right? Then they could still receive their benefit while they're working. But the average Canadian is barely making any income at all, right? Your average Canadian is what? Earning $50,000, $60,000 annually. and they're going to try to get some type of benefit, right? They're not going to try to work to earn income. They're trying to recover so they can get 100% of their income. So that's the difference with ours, Peter.
No, just curious. I just want to know. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries at all. So
Gina,
cool.
may you
Yes.
take me as an example, as I usually do as a all profession hairdresser, as an occupation as well as the income 32,000 and
I
this
could
example?
definitely do that.
Thank you.
So I won't ask for your age, Ileana, but I'm
Right.
gonna say you're 30 years old. Let's just put that for our illustration, okay? What would you like me to illustrate you as, Ileana?
Well, non-smoker
What job?
and a
Non-smoker? Okay.
hairdresser.
Hairdresser? Okay, we'll do you as a hairdresser.
I used to be, so
Oh, that's why your hair looks beautiful all the
yeah.
time.
Thank you.
So how do you start the conversation for disability with your clients? You
So-
ask them, do they have disability coverage, right? You ask them, do they get WCB? Do they get EI? Do they get benefits? Because that's going to affect their claim at the beginning only, okay? And those benefits don't last forever. And when it comes to EI only pays up to 4 months if they get approved, right? Based on Peter's story, his client got denied. Typically, EI will pay up to 4 months. So for this illustration, we'll say yes. Truck drivers are a little bit more costly, okay? Now, what we're doing is we're replacing the client's income, right? It's a monthly benefit, but we need to know 2 things about the client. Number 1, what type of job do they have? And number 2, what risk is associated with their job. So C being the most riskiest. So this is going to cost more for clients. It's more expensive. A C could be like an Uber driver, Uber Eats, skip the dishes, taxi driver. 1A could be a lot of your blue collar clients. So their job requires more than 20% of physical work, but they're not in a high risk environment. So 1A could be like a truck driver, a construction worker, a mechanic, an electrician, a carpenter. And then your 4A categories are a lot of your professional clients, dentists, lawyers, professors, architects. Okay. So for today's example, Juliana is a hairdresser. Hairdresser 1A, right? So usually most clients will be a 1A category. Now, when it comes to disability, as I mentioned, it's based on income. And how do you prove income is T1 general. So what income would you like, Juliana?
So, by the way, not all the hairdressers are employee. Most of them self-employed, and they have to qualify for EI benefit,
right.
and they have to prove that they employee, not self-employed, even to get those benefits. That was my case when I was going through the claim. So, 32,000 of income. That was back when I was 30 of age. Yes.
Okay, 32,000 of income. So what we're doing now is applying for accident and illness. So accident is pretty self-explanatory. Accident could be like a car accident, right? You walking down the stairs at your own home, you tripped and fell, or maybe you're shoveling snow and you slipped on black ice, you fell. That is an accident. Now, illness, this is why you want the Superior program, because of the illness coverage. This is why the Superior program is the better coverage. Number 1, I'm sure everyone on this call gets back pain, neck pain, muscle pain, tears, ligament strains, sprains. Guess what? That is covered in Superior. So 43% of disability claims is based on a soft tissue injury, right? I'm sure we all get back pain. So if you get back pain and you can't do your job, you can make a claim and your full benefit gets paid out. There's no limit how many times you can claim on a soft tissue injury. If this was for our simplified issue product, Axojet, guess what? If Juliana made a claim for a soft tissue injury, she'd only get 2 months, right? Here, she doesn't have to worry about that. So Parma's saying that, yes, a soft tissue injury can happen at the gym. You're pulling weights, boom, you pulled a muscle, right? Anywhere.
Carpal
even
tunnel.
cleaning the toilet.
How about the carpal tunnel? The hairdresser have issue.
Hairdressers, carpal tunnel syndrome. Right? If you have a client that works a lot with their wrists, with their hands, there you go. Number 2, mental nervous disorders. We talk about the importance of mental health, mental well-being, stress, depression, anxiety, burnout, bipolar disorder, ADHD, guess what? That is covered under illness, right? If your client gets diagnosed with depression, life happens and they cannot do their job, they can't get out of bed, guess what? You can claim on the illness protection because your mental well-being, your client's mental well-being is important to IA. Last but not least, illness. The illness in superior not only covers your 25 illness for critical illness, but it covers all illnesses as long as it's diagnosed as an illness by the doctor. So an illness could be like COVID. Illness could be like a common cold and flu, arthritis, bronchitis, cancer, stroke, any illness. So why would you want disability? A, it protects your greatest asset, which is your income. But B, with disability, you can make as many claims. And look, you can claim on so many things. Because unlike life insurance, you got to die to receive the benefit for your beneficiary. With critical illness, you have to be critically ill. But this, for disability, you can claim on anything and everything, essentially. Now, what we've done, I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty details, but I just want to show you, okay, so what we've done is here, premium options, it's locked in. So the premiums never change up until age 65. When it comes to the benefit period and regular occupation, rule of thumb, so it doesn't confuse you, just always match it. So when your clients make a claim, the doctor assess them, can they do their job or not, which is regular occupation. So we don't have own occupation, we have regular occupation. If they cannot work and earn income due to their disability, they're on claim. And if you match it with the benefit period, they get the benefit. So the amount of money from IA the entire time, okay? So we have up to age 65, okay? So the policy is in force up until age 65. Maybe you have a client that, let's say, is, is an employee, has some coverage, but doesn't have enough coverage. Maybe you choose a 5-year benefit period, or, someone you have a working visa, just starting with getting disability insurance, 2 years. But the beauty of our plans is that you can make changes at any time. Okay, you can increase your coverage, you can change your occupation class, you can add the riders, change the coverage anytime at any point. Now, with Juliana's income as a hairdresser, she's getting $32,000. So based on the $32,000, she's getting $2,000 each month. Okay, so for her, that $2,000. So here, this non-integrated, we talked about it. The maximum amount is $2,000. All right. So that's going to pay on top of WCBE group benefits, right? Otherwise, if she gets denied those benefits with IA, she still gets $2,000 with IA. Okay. We're going to add some riders. Number one is partial disability. So she can't work full time, but only half time. She still gets half her benefit, up to 12 months. And next thing you know, we're going to add that extended medical care rider. So for $2.50. So what this premium represents is $91.50. It just represents more than a policy. This premium represents a peace of mind to your clients, knowing that if they were to get disabled at any given time, if they get into an accident, if they get into an illness, they have coverage, they have protection, they're going to be able to pay for those monthly bills. They can focus on recovering rather than their financial situation, which is going to give them more stress, right? Because at the end of the day, would you rather pay $91.50 to get $2,000 each month to help cover your bills? Or would you rather pay $0 and guess what? $0. And at the end of the day, you got no income. If you were to get disabled, then what? Are you going to now have to dip into your savings? Are you going to dip into your investments? Right? But then how long is it going to take for those investments to deplete? So it's great that there's there, or like maybe they have a savings and emergency fund. But again, how long is it going to take for those funds to deplete? Right? So hopefully after today, it just gave you a better insight. What is the need for disability? How much is it going to cost? And as you can see, it's very inexpensive. Now, before we end today's training, any questions? Arjit, do you have any questions? You're right in center of my screen here.
No, I'm good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, RJ. Peter, any questions?
Well, I just want to add up.
It's a great product and it's easy to use. You know, I mean, probably covers 95% of clientele. I do have some clients that have a very niche own occupation coverage, and I'll talk to you about that later, you know,
Yep.
offline, you know, what my options are. But for 95% of any people, I'll tell you one thing I've changed as of last week. Every single client I'm sitting with, whether it's $50 of the cash flow, they'll have some disability. The same way I was so focused on CI, over 90% of my life clients have CI. 100% I present CI as an option. And I think that I really missed something at some point that was not part of my presentation. I'll tell you now, moving forward, every single one of my clients will be presented this option. I'm going to do it in a way that it's not optional, really. I mean, technically it's optional, but I want to present it that they should have some coverage, whether it's 25 bucks a month, 50 bucks a month, whatever the minimum affordability is, that I don't leave any stone unturned. And with every follow-up and with every annual review, they will be making sure, because I've already done that with making sure they all have their will in place, but this is a component that I think that really I need to implement in every single situation.
Absolutely.
Katrina.
Thank you for sharing, Peter. And I'll get in touch with you offline tomorrow.
Katrina, really great explanation. And the reason why I was asking you to do me as an example for the illustration purpose as a hairdresser, because that was my previous career, as well as when you mentioned that usually clients go into the saving when disability happen and so on, and then how long those savings gonna last. Most of the clients don't have a savings, and I was one of them. So when I had a situation when I got disability, diagnosed with disability, and it actually, I was requesting from EI, right, from the Revenue Canada to pay out those benefits, and it was 119 days, by the way. I supposed to qualify first as a hairdresser because I was self-employed. So it took me 2 months to prove it to Revenue Canada that I was actually employee, not self-employed, before to get those benefits. Also, it's not free, of course, by the way. And also the amount I was getting payout, it was around $500 a month for around 4 months. My disability will last actually more than 2.5 years. Unfortunately, the medical bills that I was paying back then, it was around $500 a month, by the way. So today you show me example that I was probably were getting 2,000 versus 500, right? And I didn't have this this opportunity. I didn't have the plan in place back then because I was not part of the company and so on, unfortunately. So I learned the hard way as a hairdresser that I was not able to work. And 2.5 years, I didn't have any savings. I couldn't even cover my mortgage balance. But $2,000, it would probably cover my most of the bills, as well as a peace of mind. I probably would have a peace of mind as a single mom back then. But unfortunately, I was not lucky enough, and I accumulated a lot of that. That's not the greatest things to say, but paying $130 a month, much better than paying $800 every month on the credit card. So because some people have savings, some people don't, and that was the case that I didn't have a saving. I had a mortgage to pay and child on my shoulders. So accumulating $40,000 on a credit card over 2.5 years, I'm telling you, this is not like something to be proud of, but it's $800 only on the interest rate that you giving away to the bank. So $800 given for free to the bank versus $130 paying on a monthly, that's a big difference. I could save up those money. I could actually be in a better financial position back then, just knowing this. Do you think my employer really care about that time? No, you were fired because your two hands cannot work anymore. You can't perform. You actually basically useless. You don't need to be there anymore. It doesn't matter what kind of job you done it before. So knowing that on time, it cost me a lot of money and cost me a lot of stress that I went through personally. And it's actually it's stressful enough for me to deliver this message to every client that I'm talking to, that you should have a disability insurance in case of something happen, because I've been there. I know how medical EI pays you. The 500 is not enough, even because medication costs a lot of money, as well as therapy. You go in through acupuncture or massage or any of those therapy, it costs money. But also the 20% on the credit card on a $40,000 loan, that's $800 every single month. So that's why it cost me a property. That's why it cost me a lot of debt. And that's why it cost me a lot of struggle, financial struggle, as well as stress. And I'm telling you, the financial stress can kill a person faster than actually disability you're going through. So that's why I want people that in this call who's licensed take this job really seriously. Reach out Katrina. She's expert in that field, right? Ask any questions, and please make sure that you talk about income replacement benefit in case of disability. It doesn't matter. It's a 1 year, 3 months. Some disabilities last a life term. You know, some disability you will never occur. There's mental problems going on after COVID, and most of the over 40%, you probably agree, that claims that happen, it's because of the mental problems, not because of injury, because of mental problems. So we have to take this training seriously, as well as reach out Katrina in this matter. And that's the reason why I brought up the hairdresser case as my own example. Unfortunately, I don't want to be that example, but it is what it is. So guys, take our career seriously, and let's help the families. With that, thank you, Katrina, very much for our training. I hope you're going to get a CE credit, correct?
Yes, you will definitely get CE credits. I already took down the sign-in for today, but also I'll be popping by the office tomorrow. So maybe sleep on this, and then maybe you have a couple questions for me, or maybe you have a case for me. I'll be coming by in the afternoon, and we can definitely have a conversation. But thank you everyone for your time. Take care and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye for everyone.